For me personally, World War II has great poignancy, meaning, tragedy. My father's oldest brother, Ellsworth, his nickname was Barney after the comic strip Barney Google. There was an old comic strip called Snuffy Smith, and a character in there was Barney Google, and he had big eyes. And when my uncle was born, his grandfather looked at him and said, well, he looks just like Barney Google. So Barney became his nickname, and he was always Barney. He tried to enlist in early 1941. His parents said, no, you're too young. He enlisted a year later. The Army had a great need for people who were skilled in radio maintenance, broadcasting, and operations, and he had gotten his high school. They used to have what they call vocational schools in those days, and his degree was in electronics, his high school degree. Barney was assigned to Boston, Providence, down at Pensacola, and then finally was assigned to the USS Essex in the Pacific on board a TBF-1 Avenger. It was a three-man crew. President Bush 41, flew the very same plane. He was off the San Jacinto, but he flew the very same plane, a TBF-1 Avenger. It had a three-man crew. There was, in January of 1945, my uncle was trying to earn enough air hours to be promoted from airman second class to airman first class. It was a voluntary mission. He volunteered for it, but that day the plane only took off with a two-man crew. It was just the pilot and my uncle, who doubled as radio operator and turret gunner. Their mission was to bomb Japanese docks in Saigon. The plane made its pass, dropped its bombs, and as it was circling around, was shot down. They crashed in a park in Saigon. The pilot survived and was captured and was protected for a time by the French underground. As he was leaving the plane, Lieutenant McHenry, Donald McHenry was the pilot, was asked by these members of the French underground, are you alone, in their broken English? And he gave them the thumbs up sign. He thought he was saying there's one more in the plane. They thought he was saying he was alone. It was just him. He was taken and bandaged up and protected for a time. The Japanese discovered my uncle still alive in the plane, and they killed him. We don't know if they bayoneted him or they shot him, but he was obviously injured from the crash. And so World War II, I grew up hearing stories about Barney and about his charm and about how popular he was with girls, and what is really most poignant, I think, is that he was shot down and killed on his 20th birthday in January of 1945. Barney represents a long line of tradition of our family. My mother's great-great-grandfather was at Valley Forge. Daniel Cone was at Valley Forge fighting for George Washington. Members of the Shirley, McGivern, Cone, Abbott families have fought in every war in this country's history. My nephew was a tank commander in the Iraqi invasion in 2003. My father served during the Korean War. His brother served in the Marine Corps during the Korean War. My son was a corpsman in the United States Navy. So for me, the subject of the book is very powerful and is very poignant.